Okay, good evening, good morning. Welcome to Math Project 88. Today we're going to do two quick practice problems and then I'll give you the homework problem. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Here's practice problem number 1. If I add 6 to 1/2 of a number, I get the original number. What is the number? Okay, do you understand the problem?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Why don't you go up there and write down what you think is the best way to solve this problem.
Well, half of a number. Well, you mean like using fractions?
Well, sort of. What the problem says, if I add 6
To half of a number.
to 1/2 of a number, I get the original number. What is the number? So, why don't you first try to write down the equation that says what the problem is talking about.
Well, I'm going to call the number x.
Okay. So we're going to call the number x.
So x divided by 2 plus 6 equals x.
Okay, very good. Very good.
This is all the problem says.
That's all the problem says. Another way to write that is x divided by 2 plus 6 equals x. But either way is okay to write it. This is the way you'll learn to write it later. Okay? So how are you gonna solve that problem?
We could subtract an x from each side.
Okay. You could subtract an x from each side. So now we have an interesting question. If we subtract an x from both sides, we would get x divided by 2 minus x plus 6 equals 0, right?
Yeah.
So what is x divided by 2 minus x? What is 1/2 x minus x becomes the question.
What's 1/2 minus a whole number?
Right, what's 1/2 minus a whole?
A half minus a whole.
Well, shall we try some examples?
Yeah.
Okay, let's say x was 100. So if x is 100,
Well, then it'll be 50.
100, you would have 50 minus 100. What would that be?
50 minus 100 is just 50. 50? No, minus 50.
Is minus 50. Okay, what if x equals 4? What's x over 2?
Or x divided by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2.
So this would be 2 minus, we're just doing x over 2 minus x. 2 minus 4, which equals what?
Negative 2.
Negative 2.
I noticed something.
Okay.
There's a number in front, 2 with a 50,
Uh-huh.
always equals the same negative number, minus 50 and minus 2.
Okay, yeah, that's actually very important to notice. So, how many halves are in a whole?
2.
Okay, so we have x over 2, we have 1/2. 1 times x over 2 minus 2 times x over 2. So we have 1 minus 2 is?
Is minus 1.
So minus x over 2. Okay.
Where's the minus x divided by 2?
Okay, so x over 2 minus x plus 6 equals 0 means minus x over 2 plus 6 equals 0.
So x must be 6.
Okay, we'll put 6 into this equation. How did you figure out that x was 6?
Well, actually x is 12, because 12 divided by 2 is 6, plus 6 is 0.
6 plus 6 is not 0. But you're making a lot of silly mistakes here.
6 plus minus 6
Okay.
is 0.
Okay, so how are we going to solve this equation?
Well, we make x 12.
Okay, so you don't know how to solve it, do you?
Not really.
Not really. Okay, that's fine. Let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. Okay, so maybe there's a simpler way to solve this equation.
In this really complicated way.
Yeah. Okay, so we have, if I add 6 to 1/2 of a number, 6 plus x divided by 2, I get the original number, I get x. Okay?
Yeah. Maybe that subtracting x's was not
Okay.
a very good idea.
So one thing we could say is we really don't like to see all these fractions, right?
Yeah.
So in order to get rid of a 1/2 like that,
Yeah.
I'm just going to multiply the entire equation by 2.
Because that means the half would equal a whole.
So I get 12 plus, what's 2 times x divided by 2? So 2 times 1/2 x.
2 times I have x is just x.
Right, so when I multiply the whole equation by 2, I just get rid of that. So this becomes 12 plus x equals
2x.
2x. Okay, what do you do now to solve that equation?
Well, we don't know what x is because we can't.
Right, we don't know what x is, but we do know that 12 plus x equals 2x. So what can we do to solve this equation?
It's going to be hard subtracting an x from either side because there's no x's on that side.
No x's on which side?
On the 12 side over here.
Which is the 12 side?
The 12 and x and 2x and x.
So here's one side of the equation, and here's the other side of the equation. So what happens if you subtract an x from both sides?
Well, you get 12 equals x.
So you subtract an x from both sides and you get 12 equals x. Was that hard?
No.
So sometimes when you have fractions, it's easier to multiply through by what the fractions are.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we got x equals 12. Okay?
Now for the second practice problem.
Now for the second practice problem. You ready for a tricky one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, so here's practice problem number 2. And this is sort of like the homework problem. If I add 2 to 1/7 of a number,
Whoa.
I get 1/5 of the original number.
Whoa.
What is the number? Okay.
This is going to be tricky.
This is going to be tricky. You got your pen?
Yep.
Okay. So why don't you write down what equation this is saying? If I add 2 to 1/7 of a number, I get 1/5 of the original number. What does that say?
Well, I'm going to call the number x.
Okay.
The 2 to a 7th of a number. So 2 plus, is that how you write it?
What did you write?
Plus.
Okay. 2 plus x over 7.
Equals x over 5.
Okay, great.
This is what the thing says.
Whoa, 2 plus x over 7 equals x over 5. And we said in the last problem, when you see these fractions, multiply through by the number, by the fraction number.
But the problem is we got 2 different fractions.
Right, so that just means we're going to have to multiply twice. So which number do you want to multiply through first?
By 5.
Okay, so first step 1, we're going to multiply by 5. Okay? So I get 5 times 2, which is
10.
10,
10 plus.
plus, what's x over 7 times 5?
5x over 35.
No, 5x over 7.
Oh, 5x over 7.
Okay, so because I just take 1/7 5 times. So in other words, I take 1/7 plus 1/7 plus 1/7
Yeah.
plus 1/7 plus 1/7. And that's 5/7. Okay? And what's x over 5 times 5?
5x over 5.
Which is what?
5.
What's 1/5 times 5?
A fifth times 5 is It's just a whole.
Right, it's
Just x.
just 1. So x. So when I multiply by 5, I get a new equation. And that new equation is still pretty complicated, right?
Yeah, so we need to multiply by 7.
Now we need to multiply by 7. So step 2, multiply by 7.
And then we get 70.
Okay, 70 plus...
What's 5x
What's 5x divided by 7
divided
times 7?
5x? Well, 5x is hard to be divisible by 7.
Right. But, so I have to understand what 5x over... Well, what's 7 times 1/7?
7 times the 7th is just a whole.
So what do you think 7 times 5/7 is?
Is just 5x.
5, right. 7 times 5/7 is 5, so this becomes 70 plus 5x equals...
Well,
what's x times 7?
7x.
7x. Very good. Okay, so now we have this tricky equation. 70 plus 5x equals 7x. Now how are we going to solve that?
I got an idea.
What?
Let's subtract 5x's from either side.
Okay, that's a good idea.
So that means 70 equals 2x.
Okay, so write that over here, this way. Yeah, right there. Good.
70 equals 2x.
Okay, so 70 equals 2x.
Well, and then that means that x equals 35.
X equals 35.
Let's just make sure this works.
Let's make sure that works. That's a great idea. So, our original equation says 2
a seventh of 35.
2 plus 35 over 7, 35 divided by 7,
5.
is 35 divided by 5. So let's see if that's true. 2 plus, what's 35 divided by 7?
Is 5.
5. And what's 35 divided by 5?
7.
So does 2 plus 5 equal 7?
Obviously, yes.
Obviously, yes. All right.
Homework problem.
Homework problem. It's Olympiad 79, problem number 3. We are almost done with this book.
How many Olympiads does it go up to?
Turn the page.
Whoa, it only goes up to Olympiad 80.
Only goes up to Olympiad 80.
Oh.
All right. Good job today, sweetie.